Comfort comes from knowing that people have made the same journey, and solace comes from understanding how others have learned to sing again. Helen Steiner Rice. Poet Helen Steiner Rice understood something very equalizing about the human condition. She knew that no matter what we endure in humanity, others have lived a similar experience, and there is a comfort that comes in knowing that one day joy will return. Right now, the challenges and loss that we have collectively experienced from COVID-19 may lead us to forget our ability to be resilient and realize that we will move beyond this one day. That is why the Caribbean American Cultural Arts Foundation created the Solace virtual series and outreach campaign. Our goal was simply to engage, inform, and inspire people forward. We wanted to bring artists and art to the forefront as a resource to help us collectively move beyond COVID-19. This is the first time in modern history that the world has been left at a standstill. Undone and uncertain, we wanted Solace to bring comfort to the community and bring hope by reminding you that one day we will sing and celebrate together again. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. On behalf of Chairman Michael Thomas, the board and staff at CACAF, welcome to Solace.
I'm Michael Thomas, the chairman and founder of the Caribbean American Cultural Arts Foundation. Thank you for joining the Solace virtual series. Today we renew our series with a renewed focus on mental health. The work is important as we go through this most difficult time. Mental health deserves more candor and more unashamed conversation. These important words were said by actress Glenn Close. It is also said that the race is not promised to the fast and the swift, but to those who endure it to the end. Today, we focus on you, the Solace community. On behalf of the Caribbean American Cultural Arts Foundation, welcome to Solace Virtual Series, Mental Health.
Greetings, Solace family. I'm award-winning journalist Melissa Noel, and I'm back as your host for week 2 of the Solace Virtual Series on mental health. Last week, we had a panel of experts led by Dr. Jeff Gardier, who provided such insightful and important information. This week is no different as we continue toward our goal of better mental wellness as a community. As your host this afternoon, I'm really excited to see the strategies that come from our panel of experts, and of course, the unique mix of art, culture, and conversation that CACAF provides to you, our Solace community. But first, I'd like to introduce today's moderator. We're delighted to have a respected leader in the field of behavioral health who has over 30 years of experience in culturally and linguistically appropriate behavioral health treatment and prevention. He's one of the most sought after national and international consultants and speakers on mental health and addiction. He's a pioneer who founded Georgia's first Latino behavioral health program in 1999. His agency provided cultural and language appropriate services to clients who speak English, Spanish, and Portuguese. He also finds time to be an author with his book, Mental, in the Trump Era, 10 inspirational stories about immigrants overcoming addiction, depression, and anxiety in America. Please welcome Dr. Pierluigi Mancini.
Thank you, Melissa, for the warm introduction. And to everyone watching us at home, welcome to the Solace Virtual Series on mental health. I'm excited to be here to help in this vital conversation on mental health. We need more spaces like Solace to help remove the stigma associated with mental health and to renew a sense of hope that things will get better. Let me begin by sharing some startling statistics. A recent survey by the CDC revealed that 18.6% of Hispanics, 15.1% of Blacks, and 7.9% of whites considered suicide since the starting of this pandemic. This shows that our communities are silently grappling with mental health during COVID-19. The numbers, though challenging, they show the importance of the platforms like this one, like Solace, to help us move toward healing. Before we introduce our panel, CACAF would like to thank our partners, Microsoft Hub, West Side Parent Avengers, the National Council of Behavioral Health, Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta Airport International, and the City of Atlanta's Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs for partnering once again on the Solace series. As you know, Solace is a mix of information, inspiration, and community. Now, let me introduce this very exciting and incredible panel. Ruby Brown Herring holds a master's in education and is the owner of Herring Training and Consulting, LLC, where she helps businesses, nonprofits, and academic institutions design and implement employee mental health wellness programs. She is also nationally certified as a mental health first aid instructor. Astrid Prudent is an assistant project director for the Center of Excellence for Children's Behavioral Health at the Georgia Health Policy Center. She leads the Center of Excellence Workforce Development Practice Area. Her areas of expertise include program implementation and curriculum development. Carolyn Cole is a licensed marriage and family therapist with Revolutionary Change Counseling in Apollo Beach, Florida. She works with children, teens, young adults, and seniors who are boldly taking steps towards positive life changes. She utilizes an eclectic mix of cognitive behavioral therapy and narrative therapy to help clients shut down distortions. And Ursula M. Davis, a licensed professional counselor and assistant project director with the Georgia Health Policy Centers of Excellence for Children's Behavioral Health. She's also the owner and therapist of Next Level Therapist and Wellness Services, LLC, in Stockbridge, Georgia. She has experience in child welfare, program management, and strategic planning. Welcome, everyone. I am so thrilled that you decided to accept this invitation, and I am so looking forward to the discussion that we're about to have today. But let me begin by doing a quick check-in. How are each one of you ladies doing today? And let me start with Astrid. How are you doing today?
I am well, Dr. Mancini. Thank you so much. I'm great. The sun is shining outside. I'm warm and healthy on the inside. And I have on my fuzzy slippers, so I'm wonderful.
Excellent. Thank you, Astrid.
Yes.
How about Carolyn? How are you today? I'm not able to hear you, Carolyn. Is the phone unmuted?
Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
I'm going to get this figured out soon. I'm wonderful. I'm down in Florida, enjoying our beautiful sunshine and, feeling encouraged that it's a good day to be outside, just enjoying life.
Thank you so much. Ruby, how are you today?
Good afternoon, Dr. Mancini. I'm doing great. I am in Raleigh, North Carolina, where it's a little chilly outside, but the sun is shining, which brings a lot of sunshine inside. And my twin girls that are in their senior year are doing great. So it's a good day.
Excellent. And finally, Ursula, how are you doing today?
Good afternoon, Dr. Mancini. I am well. Thank you so much for asking. And as the other ladies have shared, it is a sunny day, and something about the sun, no matter what else is going on, it just warms me on the inside.
That's excellent. I love the slippers comment because, today you do have the comfort that even though we are doing a lot of the video virtual meetings, we do have a little flexibility that we wouldn't get away with if we were in an office. So it's wonderful to see you all here this morning. Well, we're here to discuss a very serious topic in a very difficult period in history. So let's get right to it. Carolyn, I'm going to start with you. You work with young clients. Can you talk to us about some of the recurring challenges that you see facing young people at this time?
Oh, yes. I'd be glad to address that. Young people are reacting in much the same way that all of us are. We're we're all affected by the changes in our routine. For children, young adults, that can mean changes in their schooling has been one of the biggest challenges for them to overcome. The educational challenges. Am I going to be in school? Am I going to be doing this from home? What's it going to look like next week? What happens if my teacher isn't there? Tremendous amount of uncertainty for them and not knowing what to expect yet. For the older middle school and high school up into young adulthood, these are children that are missing significant life events. They're not able to participate in their high school graduations, in their dances, in their sporting events. And these are significant milestones in their lives that they're often missing. And of course, the teens, you know, when most of the teens in our areas work in fast food industries that have been dramatically impacted by the COVID vaccine, their whole employment opportunities have just been reduced to almost nothing. And on top of the whole thing, we've got that loss of security, that loss of safety. There's very difficult for them, I think, to depend on adults, parents, teachers, in whatever role, when we're struggling so much ourselves.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. You know, I was talking to some friends the other day. It's really difficult to be a young person today. So thank you for those comments. Astrid, you also work with young people. Are they adapting well during this pandemic, or are you seeing them struggle more with COVID-related stress and anxiety? Do they have enough support?
Well, I think it's a yes and no, depending on what's happening with that young person. So we recognize that isolation, the abrupt change, the level of insecurity, depending on where you are and where you may be living, can affect your adaptation and your ability to strive during this season. You know, unfortunately, some of the young people I've worked with over the years, some young people have experienced, and families have experienced, young people dying by suicide. We've also seen on the uptick, if you will, young people who are looking for ways to connect socially, who are finding new ways of supporting each other, whether it's through getting on a Zoom, and instead of having, you know, a dialogue, having some game time, maybe getting together via Netflix. There's all these sharing capacities where we can get on and watch a movie together. So I really see young people looking for ways to strive. And in those situations where young people are unable to, helping families find ways that those young people and those around them, if you will, can find some other supports and some resources. And so that's really where I'm seeing a lot of the change. Definitely in the beginning, there was a lot of struggle. There's a lot of just what is going on? How long are we going to be home? When are we going back into the classroom? And so now we've gone from a spring semester to summer to now wrapping up fall, if you will, and recognizing, okay, here are some things that we really can do. Here's some things that we can try so that we feel connected. The beauty of technology is that we can be connected no matter where we are in the world. I consider or think about my young people who live in the Caribbean are able to connect through WhatsApp, Facebook, TikTok, you name it. And that connection really helps to build that support system that we're really missing in this season.
Thank you so much. You know, it's so important. I'm so happy that you're doing that kind of work in how we need to continue to support young people and make sure that they have their voices heard during all this. Ursula, a new report from CNN reveals Black and Hispanic students suffered the most during COVID-19 school shutdown, causing them to fall further behind in reading and math. How can parents encourage while pushing their children academically as students face so many unknowns?
That's a really great question. My children are adults. However, I am a grandmother of a school age, elementary age child. And so it has definitely been a struggle. But it's one in which parents really need to strike a balance when it comes to encouraging and challenging their children, because children, as we said earlier, children are going through a lot. This pandemic has really impacted the years in which social interaction is the most important for them. And this inability to do things and have these large changes happen in their life, parents don't want to challenge kids to the point that they heighten levels of anxiety and depression, in some cases that may already be there. So there's some things that parents can definitely do and check on in order to support their kids and encourage them to do the best that they can. One would be check and see if your school has a plan that helps students to adjust to this new virtual at-home learning platform, or even some of the more hybrid programs that we're seeing now, and more broadly to ways that COVID-19 may have disrupted their daily lives. Those supports might include school counseling, it might be psychological services. A lot of schools are doing social emotional SEL focused programs and curricula, putting that in addition to their other coursework as part of the day, just as a check-in, as well as peer and social support groups. You can also identify some opportunities for your child to be physically active during their virtual at-home learning. For those students that still are able to take advantage of PE, that's really a great way for them to get up and be active. But you as a parent can also do that. You guys can take, a 10, 15-minute walk around your neighborhood in order to get fresh air, get activity, and get away from the computer. Also check with your school and see if they provide a virtual or at-home training for students on mindfulness, incorporating that social emotional learning into the classroom curriculum, as well as stressing the fact that coping skills are needed. So are there any coping supports that look at stress or look at how kids can deal with their emotions as things come up and frustrations happen, as they typically do, but more so even now. I think the number one thing that parents can do is be a role model for your child by practicing self-care yourself, taking breaks, getting plenty of sleep, exercising, eating well, and then staying socially connected. A lot of those things that Astrid just talked about, making sure that your child has opportunities to still stay socially connected.
Thank you so much, Ursula. Let me pause for a minute and see if any of the other panelists, we began the conversation speaking about youth, speaking about school, speaking about their challenges. Do any of the other panelists want to chime in and have some comments about this topic before we move on?
Dr. Mancini, I would like to, and just speaking from, my kids are seniors themselves, and so they finished up junior year at home, so they missed out on junior prom and all of those traditions. And then here we are wrapping up, they'll wrap up their senior year, the first semester of their senior year next week. And so one of the things that I've done and my husband has done with our girls is just allowing them to express their feelings of loss and mourn that loss of those traditions that they've looked forward to, and just creating that space for them to express those concerns and mourn that loss. And I think that's a big piece for children, especially as we look at the different traditions that many of them have missed out on from sports across the board. And so just allowing them to have that period to mourn those losses, but also helping them learn to express those emotions appropriately. And by having conversations through journaling, whatever the case may be. And I think that that's important, and validating that, that sense of loss, because I don't think a lot of students see it as a loss, but when we really look at everything that we've experienced, it is a loss of how life used to be. So that's the one thing I'd want to add for that.
Thank you so much, Ruby. Anyone else? One of the challenges I've noticed from youth is also the mixed messages they seem to be getting. Sometimes they even live in split households where part of the family believes in masks, believes in taking care of yourself, supports whatever needs to be happening, and others don't. And again, during that age, they have many challenges. They're building trust still with some adults, trying to figure out what they believe about a certain topic. So we do have to pay attention. And even with all of the stressors that the adults have, we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute, we cannot forget that we have our future leaders, our future generations, initially growing up with drills in school on how to hide under a desk, and now not being able to attend traditional school. So it's been incredible changes in their lives. So in the Ursula, Florida mental health practitioner shared, well, no, let me back up a little. Ruby, let me go back to you for a minute. You work with training people in mental health first aid. Are you seeing more people seeking certification? And what are they saying is the primary reason why they're seeking certification?
Yes, we are seeing a major increase in individuals that want to be certified in mental health first aid. And so for those that don't know, mental health first aid is a public education program that trains individuals, lay people, to recognize signs and symptoms that someone may be experiencing a mental health problem or crisis. And so we've seen an increase in all of the curricula, especially within the youth curricula that trains adults that work with children 12 to 17, especially in the school systems, right? Because even though they're not in many places physically in those school systems, in the school buildings, they're still interacting with their students virtually. So a great increase there, just because teachers want to be prepared for managing and helping students navigate these uncertain times. We've also seen some school systems are implementing a new curriculum in the mental health first aid family called Teen Mental Health First Aid, where we train high school students, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders to be peer first aiders. Because I know in my family with my two girls, they would rather talk to each other or their peers before they come to their mom and dad, right? And so we've seen some schools that out of the pilot that was implemented a year and a half ago from the National Council for Behavioral Health, a lot of schools are starting to now implement that training to train their 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. And then in the workplace, what I'm also seeing with some of the work that I'm doing around mental wellness, there has been an increase in the workplace too for businesses wanting to train managers, especially because they're managing in a different space right now. And so how can they support the mental wellness and mental well-being of their staff members while they are all working virtually, so that they, when they do come back into the physical building, they'll be able to take care and kind of navigate back into the workspace.
Excellent. One thing, and I'm going to give panelists a chance. I know we have a couple of other trainers on the panel if you want to comment on this, but one of the things, I love mental health first aid. And I used to run a multilingual organization that I founded. And one of the greatest gifts that I gave my non-clinical staff is every year I would have them attend mental health first aid. And it changed the total environment of the organization. We were a behavioral health organization, but we often forget that non-clinical staff may not understand mental illness and substance use disorder the way we do. So they really don't know who's walking through the front door. And it was one of the greatest things that we did. And I'm also very happy that it is available in Spanish, and it is trainings are happening in Spanish. So it's a wonderful tool.
And we've got it there's a virtual module now, which I think has allowed us to train more people that we would not have been able to reach because everybody's doing things remotely now. So that's also been a big plus.
Excellent. Do any of our other panelists want to chime in on mental health first aid?
Sure. So Ursula and I are actually co-trainers. So we train a lot of the mental health first aid models. We have been a part of the adult, the youth, and we were a part of the national pilot for teen mental health first aid. And I wanted to just highlight that really quickly in terms of the use of that peer-to-peer learning. Once those young people are empowered with the knowledge and the ability to understand, putting language to what they are feeling, what we are finding and discovering is that they're able to really help each other. Like Ruby was saying, her daughters are going to want to speak to each other or their peers before their parents or a trusted adult. And when you empower young people with information, as we can see in today's society, it's amazing what they will do with it. And so as much as I love mental health first aid, I am super excited about Team Mental Health First Aid, because giving power to young people to really transform what's going to happen in their lives is just, it is an amazing, powerful tool, and super excited to be a part of it. So yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Astrid. Ursula, let me jump over to you. A Florida-based mental health practitioner shared that more people are seeking validation and struggling with decision-making as a result of COVID, the political turmoil, economic uncertainty, and racial unrest. How can people reclaim their sense of autonomy and struggle less with decision-making?
That's a really great question. In my private practice, I have a lot of new clients that are coming for COVID specific challenges, mostly anxiety and depression symptoms, as well as not being able to know what to do with all the changes that are coming. So individuals, due to COVID, must answer several different questions, like, when is it safe to go back to the doctor's office? I actually had to make that decision myself because my eye doctor keeps texting me saying, it's time for your checkup. And I'm like, okay, but we have to make those decisions. When do I go get my dental checkup? If I need to shop for clothing for myself or my child, no, we're not going anywhere, but just in case we need to go somewhere, it's getting cold. Do I need to get a new coat? Do I ride public transportation? How do I visit my elderly relatives or even incarcerated relatives, or go to the gym? Everybody, we used to have the, freshman 15, now it's the COVID 20. And so how do individuals make sense of the conflicting advice about all the different things that are going on? Face masks, do we wear them? Different foods and medications that people are now taking that maybe they didn't before, like, what is the stuff you put in your drink? Something C, but all the different things that people are doing and trying to make decisions, balancing the risk with reward. Which one do I go with? And people don't always do that rationally, even outside of a pandemic. To make a good decision, people need to know the probabilities for the outcomes as well as some measure of the payoff. And unfortunately, this pandemic is so new to us. And all the things around it are so unknown, that just makes it more difficult. The core of anxiety is intolerance of uncertainty and fear of the unknown. And so here we are. Along with the inability to plan for the future, legitimate fears about safety, health, and job security, as well as all the abrupt changes that are happening to people's support systems due to COVID and their coping strategies. It's a time when people are increasingly on edge, and that can make anxiety even worse. So whether a person has clinical anxiety or they're just dealing with the increased stress and worry because of everything going on around this pandemic, the goal for everyone should really be to find a healthy balance between trying to eliminate all the risks that are out there versus ignoring the risks completely.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ursula. I mean, that's beautiful. And I think that's part of the issue, right? That we have multiple messages coming from different sources and all these offers of how we're supposed to be behaving and what we're supposed to be doing. I know that in some communities, one of the challenges has been individuals claiming strange cures or strange treatments. I've heard people, putting a blow dryer on your throat because that's going to kill the virus, and so all of these things, and we need to continue to redirect folks to what is a good source? You know, what is a healthy source? You know, events like this one, hearing from professionals, not being afraid to reach out to professionals when we need help, which, you know, God knows we do. Carolyn, did you want to chime in on this one? Do you have some comments?
Well, I think that Ursula just did a fantastic job of addressing that question. I did read a phrase that stuck with me about all of these choices that Ursula was talking about. They were calling them virus-infused choices, which I thought was a really apt name for it. And now these are kind of uniquely poised, I think, to make us stressed. I mean, we looked outside when we introduced ourselves. All of us talked about the fact that the sun was shining and it was a beautiful day. I mean, it certainly doesn't look like we would think it would if we were in the midst of a war or some tremendous natural disaster. But what we're faced with is that the risk of making the wrong choice can literally be life or death for some people. And finally, we have only to rely on the most reputable sources of information that we can come up with. We have to look at, I think, all the facts from a variety of angles and recognize there's no one-size-fits-all answer. You just weigh the evidence, analyze how you feel about it, analyze your own emotions, make a choice about cost-benefit. That's all we can do.
Thank you, Carolyn. It is. I really appreciate that. Astrid, let me jump to you. From a mental health point of view, and actually some of you, more than one of you can answer this. From a mental health point of view, can people bounce back from this pandemic? What can they do today to ensure that their mental health wellness remains intact or even improves?
So
was that back? Oh, okay.
And so I'd posit that question to say the majority of people will be able to bounce back, but as well as push through this pandemic. The reality is history does repeat itself, and our history, our Earth world has been here before, and there are individuals who made it. In terms of what you can do for your mental wellness, there's a series of things you can do. Family support, those connections we talked about earlier, who are you reaching out to? Whether it's your natural family, your identified family. In my sister circle, we do something called a heart check. And it's usually whenever someone says, I need to do a heart check, that's really a time where you need to be listened to. We really want to make sure that you are well, and not just, oh, how you doing? I'm doing well. No, we want to hear some actual words, some actual emotion, some actual feelings about what's going on with you. You want to make sure you're also getting outside. We all mentioned today that it was sunny. That's important, right? We recognize that having that fresh air, getting that good, deep cleansing breath outdoors in a safe and socially distanced way is important to really help make sure that you are feeling just refreshed. Being indoors sometimes can really just, they call it that cabin fever feeling, where it starts to feel like you are, things are closing in around you. It's important to get outside. I am blessed to have a little balcony, and sometimes it may not be okay to go outside. So I step out on my balcony from time to time. I've tried to put some plants out there, but I keep killing them. So we're just gonna go outside and look at the trees. Other things you can do, connect with individuals through generosity. My neighbor just had a baby. And so I was able to order her something off Amazon and just drop it off. I don't have to touch her, talk to her, because again, we want to be socially distanced, but being able to give kindness, be kind, be generous, can also be really refreshing to the soul and to the spirit. Connecting with your spirituality, whatever that looks like for you, whether it's sitting and reading a book, having some quiet time with a cup of coffee, saying a prayer, taking a nap, whatever that looks like for you, it's really important that you exercise those things that feed your soul, those things that really feed your spirit, to really increase that well-being, that sense of positivity. Being mindful of what you're watching, what you're listening to. I love music. So sometimes in the middle of the day, if I've like done several meetings, I may have a dance party in the middle of my living room, and that's okay because that's my business, right? And so with that being said, you can do it too, right? So what is it that speaks to you? What gives you that sense of positive vibes only? You want to feed yourself with those things that really will increase those things, because we recognize there's a lot happening in the world. We are not going to ignore that we are in the middle of a pandemic, but what we do know is that we really can strive and live through this current situation.
Thank you so much, Astrid. Those are wonderful, wonderful recommendations. Ruby, what else can people do to help them maintain or even improve their mental wellness?
I think, Astrid really did a great job summing it up. The couple things that I would add to that is really focus on what you can control, right? We can't control as much as we want to the fact that a lot of people around us are not doing the things that we think that they should do to get us back to a period of where we can go back to life as normal as we wanted it. So focus on what you can control, which is your attitude, and responding to things in a different way. And so one of the things that we've done, and I've encouraged others to think about, is, I believe wholeheartedly in daily affirmations. And I go back to the help when they were putting the stickies on the windows. You are beautiful. You is kind. And so with my children especially, and they've actually started, because I've modeled that, they've actually started doing some of the same things with me, my husband and myself. Focus on those daily affirmations to encourage each other. And that gives each other hope and lets us know that we're not in this alone. Also, think about, what can I do later? Astrid gave a really good example of things that you can do in the right now in the moment. But what can I do when I'm able to go back to school, when I'm able to go back into my social groups and make plans for that? And it's really giving yourself something to look forward to. And then the final thing that I think I would add to that is trying to find ways that you can empower, encourage folks in your community. And so one of the things that we did at the height of the pandemic was when we were ordering food for takeout, we've had some little thank you cards, and we would give them out to staff at restaurants as we picked up food. It's those little touches like that can help and encourage the community around you. And by doing that, that allows you to feel like you've contributed in a moment where you feel like you're not able to contribute anything to society.
Thank you so much, Ruby. I'm going to give Astrid some hope right now. So you see the bush behind me. I just went to the local nursery. That's my balcony. And I said, give me something that will not die. And they found me a bush, and so far so good. It's been like 6 months, and it's still alive. So Astrid, there is hope for plants in the balcony. Carolyn, let me go over to you and ask you about this constant worry that we have about our personal health, about getting infected and all of this. What can constant worry about this pandemic do to us?
Well, we've been being told by our doctors now for years of the really detrimental effects on our health that stress can cause. Well, for many of us, many people now, this is stress ramped up to the nth degree. This is some anxiety that is not really like things that we've known before. I mean, as parents, we're tremendously concerned for our children and our families. But now there's a real concrete, not just they might get hit by a car playing in the street, but that they can't go around relatives, friends, people who have been safe, the places that they've always been. And that fear and that worry about your own health and about the health of the people that you love, the financial fear, the fear of job loss, the loss of all of the support, it leads to all sorts of physical manifestations, as we well know, as our doctors tell us all the time. I think the first things people tend to see are changes in sleep and eating patterns. I think that's been kind of across the board. A lot of difficulty in concentrating. If there are chronic health problems, people are reporting that chronic health problems are worsening. Where there are mental health conditions, those are worsening. We're seeing less ability, I think, to utilize. People who have struggled with anxiety and depression for years have been taught coping skills, and they've utilized those coping skills very effectively. But now it's a little less effective because the pressure is so intense. We've seen an increased use in tobacco. We've seen an increased use in alcohol and other substances. And there will be long-lasting, far-reaching effects, both physically and mentally.
Thank you, Carolyn. You know, there's one study that showed a 57% increase on alcohol sales since the pandemic started. And of course, we still have the opioid epidemic that hasn't slowed down. So we have multiple pandemics going on. Anything else, or does any other panelists want to chime in on this one?
I just wanted to tell a really quick story.
Yes.
So some scientists developed a biosphere, and a biosphere is a lot like a snow globe, we're going to say. And so in that biosphere, they wanted it to replicate nature as much as possible. They put grass and small animals and water and fish and birds and these beautiful large trees. And so everything was going well, everything was interacting, and that's the point of a biosphere, is to basically kind of see how all of nature interacts with each other. And everything was going well until the trees started falling. So one by one, the trees were falling. And the scientists were trying to figure out, why do these trees keep falling? And so they took out one of the trees and they kind of cut it open. And what they discovered is, apparently for trees, there is the way in which the wood develops and the trees grow has to do with wind. Trees need resistance in order for their roots to get grounded and dig down deep in the ground for them to get strong. And so the point of that story, and it is true, this really did happen. The point of that story is that some stress is needed in our life, because that is what teaches us to be resilient. That's where we get some of our resilience, from different stressors. We learn lessons, we learn coping skills and strategies that we're then able to use as we move through our life. However, there is also distress, the bad stress, that then impacts us in all the different ways that Carolyn just shared with us. And so understanding that there are going to be some stressors and that that's okay, but when those stressors then impact you in those negative ways, then that's when you need to address it. And whether that is developing new coping mechanisms, seeing a mental health professional, reaching out to friends, family, whatever kinds of supports that you might need to help you through.
Thank you so much, Ursula. And that sort of covers this next question that I was going to address to you. You know, I just mentioned 57% increase in alcohol sales. There was another study that showed, since a lot of people are working from home, that as many as 37% of people report that they're having an alcoholic drink during the workday. 37% of people. So as people keep looking for these coping mechanisms, and you mentioned a few, what other resources are there for people who are struggling with substance abuse or substance use disorder brought by this COVID-19 epidemic?
So I really feel like a lot of this kind of daytime, work time drinking has to do, like you said, it is a coping mechanism dealing with anxiety and feelings of hopelessness. And so again, we can't say enough how important it is to find whatever source of strength that you have available to you. And sometimes that can be something as simple as it is so important to get up and take a break. You cannot sit at a computer all day. I wonder sometimes, well, did we do this in the office? And we really didn't. Ashton and I, as y'all can tell, we work together. And so we would come and check on each other. And we are like down the hall from each other. So that means getting up. That means moving. We would go to the Starbucks at the corner and get a coffee. So that means getting out, getting outside, having fresh air, talking to each other. And so even though everything looks very different, it does not stop us from still utilizing some of the positive and healthy mechanisms and strategies that we used in the past. If that means just getting up and going for a walk to the mailbox, that still gets you up and out. You can make phone calls to people. All the different devices that are now available. We utilize Teams, their Outlook Teams quite often because we're able to call people that we don't necessarily see from work because we're not working on something. We can just call and check in. And people laugh at me because I do it all the time. I'll do a Teams call because when you make the call, you then see the person on the screen and they're like, oh, hey, what's up? And I'm like, nothing, just want to see what you're doing. And so understanding how important that connection is, that social connection, and being sure that you are the person to do that. Like Ruby gave the example earlier, for that delivery person to find that thank you note, number one, that's a connection. That's a human connection. And number two, that's an emotional connection to know that that person feels appreciated. And so even though reaching for that glass or that bottle or that can is easy, in the end, most people find that that particular coping skill is either temporary or it just doesn't work at all. It doesn't work at all because it's not solving the problem. So focus on the thing that really makes you feel good. And that's the coping skill that you want to continue to do.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Yes, Carolyn.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in for 1 second because I was so struck with what Ursula said. You know, addiction thrives on secrecy and isolation, and it loves to catch people off guard. This idea of doing random check-ins just to reach out and let you know, let someone know, hey, somebody really does care. Somebody is looking out from you. Addiction can't thrive in that kind of an environment if we're conscientious about it.
That's right. Thank you so much, Carolyn. So true. So true. Astrid, let me jump back over to you. You know, someone mentioned a little bit earlier some of the losses we've had, and some of those are graduation, cancellation of other milestone events for students. And especially you have individuals who have a special school year events, right? We have graduations, or you even have ninth graders beginning high school. So all of these transition events that have had to be canceled, altered, somehow different. So Astrid, what can parents do to help their children cope and embrace their child's current reality of life?
So I think starting with embracing it is so important, right? Recognizing that it is different. The notion of, oh, this is what it's supposed to be, or this is what it has been, it's not their reality. And giving them the opportunity to embrace that change has come, and we're kind of sitting in it, as well as mourning the fact that, oh, we will not get to have prom this way. I will not be able to have graduation that way. Or I think about individuals who are graduating college, graduate school, doctoral programs. I won't be able to get hooded in that way. On the upside, I can individualize the celebration. I can make this milestone unique in how we celebrate. And for a young person graduating high school or going to prom, the beauty, and that's why I love technology, because there's so many options out there. There's so many ideas of what can you do. We know that you may have a living space, a living room, a basement, a bedroom, any space, if you will, in your home that can be converted into a platform. So yes, you may not be able to be on stage and be in front of the arena and hear Ursula Davis, here's your degree, but what you can hear is come down the steps in your house, walk through your bedroom and hear your mom, your dad, your grandma through Zoom. Congratulations, Ursula Davis. This is your moment. This is your time. Celebrate it, and making those moments memorable. Finding different ways. No, you may not be able to have prom, but you can connect via a number of platforms and have a dance party. So no, you didn't get to ask me, but you can still ask me via text message, via social media, via TikTok, how I'm doing and would I go to prom with you. I think in this season, parents providing space, room, and opportunity to still celebrate. It's important that we embrace those small moments. It doesn't have to be big and outrageous. Birthdays, everyone's still having birthdays, right? And we want to celebrate that. I think about Ursula is our office happy person, if you will. She makes sure if there's a moment to be celebrated, we will celebrate it. And so our office culture is to send out an email on that person's birthday, and everyone just dives in with a bunch of messages celebrating them, reaching out and making sure if we're in a meeting, no matter how serious it is, can we just take a moment? We recognize that today is Ruby's birthday and we just want to give her some great accolades. For a young person, maybe it is that you can't have people come by, but could you do a drive-by? Could people come out? You're socially distanced, everyone wears their mask, keep your windows up, but you can see people, you have that connection, you can say hello, you can drop off a gift, you can do some video recordings and maybe string together a couple of videos. Parents, it doesn't take much of one small gesture to really highlight that moment for their young person. One, remind them that they're not forgotten. Two, that they can still be celebrated. And three, that there's still hope in this world. And so you want to look for those ways to celebrate it. I am a person who, I love gifts and I love gift giving, and responsible ordering. Don't, spend too much time on Amazon. I am guilty of it. I have developed a very bad habit of ordering. However, we want to be responsible with it, right? And so maybe that person has a real nice affinity for a candle. Could you send them something special and just let them know, I'm thinking about you, or congratulations on your graduation, happy birthday. And so just finding those ways, parents, to support your child and recognize that it is different, but it can still be celebrated.
Thank you so much, Esther. I love your energy when you answer that question.
Thank you.
Because, we have to do that. We have to do things with purpose and with energy and let people know that there are options. There are healthy alternatives for us to continue to have some normalcy. My son graduated in May from Georgia Tech, and of course they canceled all of the ceremonies. But I mean, this kid gave up 3 summers. He was what is it called? Highest level honor roll. I mean, he had a 4.0 the whole time, right? He really worked hard. So I wasn't going to let that go away without being celebrated. So I ordered, he and his 2 roommates, because they never left anywhere. I ordered them their regalia, and we went over to one of the parks at Georgia Tech, and we made a mock graduation. And we rolled up a piece of paper and we gave it to them, and then they were able to throw their caps in the air. It was just 3 of them, right? But I could not let 6 months, 9 months, a year, because they say they may just invite them to next year. That doesn't count. This needed to be something at this moment of time that they had to celebrate upon completion of working so hard for 4 years. So yes, we have to get creative and we have to make sure people do that. Does anyone else want to chime in on that one? Okay, so Carolyn, let me go back to you. What are some behavioral health issues that can be traced back to mental health challenges that parents can look out from their child due to COVID?
Well, I think that both the students and the children, let's say, that are attending and those that are not attending in-person school are going to face some emotional and behavioral challenges that are arising as a result of the disruption to their routines, as a result of the increase in parental stress, family hardships. It would be almost unreasonable of us to expect anything other than to start seeing some behavioral challenges. In younger children, I think one of the things to look out for is a higher rate of clinginess, maybe distraction, irritability, even fear amongst children. They need their questions answered, and particularly younger children. It's important that we recognize that they're little sponges, and they pick up and they hear and they just absorb what's going on around them. Not just the words, but also the reactions of the people, of their parents and adults that are around them, the fears of them as well. One of the things that I behaviorally to be aware of is an increase in substance abuse amongst the adolescents. One family survey that was done, I'm trying to think where I read this, it may have been in Psychology Today, found that nearly 1/3 of the parents said that their child had experienced some harm to their emotional or mental health, and that the parents were recognizing this. Think about what the parents are going through. Think about the parental stress due to concerns about childcare, schooling, lost income, go on and on and on, all of those other pandemic-related pressures. How can parents be expected to leave all that outside the door? They can't. And then we do know that these reactions are going to have negative impacts on children's emotional and behavioral health. So what can you do? We know that adverse childhood experiences have long-reaching documented effects of lifelong physical and mental challenges. So what can we do? Be as open, as honest, model the behavior that we want our children to follow. Model feeling as much security as you possibly can offer. Model the mask wearing if that's something that's going to make your children feel like mom's got this, dad understands. These are some things that we can be proactive about doing in our lives. But ultimately, I think it's unrealistic to expect that we're not going to be confronted with behavioral health issues right along with the mental health issues. And I welcome hearing from some of the others.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. I knew this time was going to fly by, so we were just beginning to start to run a little tight in time. Let me ask Ruby this question, and then maybe someone else can chime in. The pandemic revealed ignored issues or problems with communication, especially in relationships. So what are some healthy ways that you can share with the audience on how do we communicate to avoid a shutdown in the relationship? Ruby, would you start us off on that one?
Sure, I'd be happy to. One of the things I think first and foremost that's very important that we do in relationships is being honest with each other. We all during this time tend to, because of the social isolation and the withdrawal, tend to want to hold those feelings internally. But being honest with each other and having conversations. And so if that means having a scheduled meeting that on this date and this time, then everyone can kind of plan to be in a headspace where they're ready to have this conversation. And I think next in that process is just really, setting expectations. What is it that we want to accomplish in this conversation? We know that navigating shared space is hard in everyday life, but during a pandemic, it can be especially challenging when we're all in the same space together all the time. And then think about, privacy, define privacy and what that means. And so one of the things, as a quick example that we've done in my household, my husband still works. He works at a hospital. So he has to go to work every day. I've been home with my girls since March. And while I've worked from home before, the difference now is I'm home all day, so I'm not leaving for meetings, right? And so we've defined privacy. So my girls understand that when dad leaves for work, if I lock my bedroom door, it's because I need quiet time. And so in relationships, whether it's partner relationships, parent to child relationships, sibling relationships, having those clear expectations and defining privacy and what that looks like. And then the last thing that I'll add before I allow others that may want to chime in is asking individuals how they feel and be ready to listen, right? And so, and not understanding that when you ask that question, it may be something that's shared that's going to be difficult for you to hear, but you need to give them space and be present with them and allow them to share those feelings. Because if they continue to hold on to that and don't share that, then that's when you're going to see it bubble up into behaviors that can impact the relationship.
Thank you so much, Ruby. Ursula, you want to share some with us?
Definitely. I concur with everything that Ruby just said. The fact that we are either spending a lot less time with people that we typically are around, like our coworkers, or that we're spending a lot more time especially with people that we live with, which could be, our family. It also could be like our roommates and even our pets. Like, I'm sure people's cats and dogs are like, when are you leaving? So I can go through the garbage can and do the things that I do when you're not here. And so being patient and being understanding. Some real quick tips. Some of them are very similar to what Ruby was saying, is giving time. You want to maybe put some time aside for the people that are in your life, for your friends, for your family, whether that be putting aside time for the people that are within your home, or putting aside, I think Ashley was talking about earlier, she has her sister circle and they have specific time where they do things, maybe get on Zoom and play a game. So really making the time to connect. Being present, so really paying attention to the other people that are in your life. Just like I check in on people at work, check in on the people that are within your personal life as well, and try not to be distracted by your phone or work or other interests that you might have. Ruby's talked about this, listening to what others are saying and try to understand and focus on their needs at that moment. And then also letting yourself be listened to. And oftentimes a good way to do that is to use I statements. You statements typically are kind of blaming. And so if you say, especially if you're saying something that the person may kind of see negatively, I feel upset or sad or angry when you continue to leave your dishes in the sink instead of putting them in the dishwasher. Not that happens at my house, but so using those I statements and then recognizing when a relationship really might be unhealthy, because those harmful relationships can cause additional stress.
Thank you so much, Ursula. So I'm getting the hook because, this conversation has been so rich. I would have loved to hear more from each one of you, especially about all these topics. But I'm briefly, I think I'm gonna choose each one of you just to do a brief one thing that you would recommend for people that you may even do yourself to keep your mental health. Just really brief, 4 seconds, and let's go alphabetically again. Astrid, what is one thing you would recommend to our listeners to keep their mental health?
Get outside. That's a practice that I've adopted. If you know me, I don't like sweating, and it can be hot in Georgia, but getting outside is so important. That sun, the fresh air, just getting a new atmosphere, having something else to look at, recognizing that people still exist in the world, even though we may not have that social connection. It's important. It can be purifying, if you will, for the mind, for the spirit, cleansing, to have a good cleansing breath. Just get outdoors, safe, socially distant, but making sure that you're going outside.
Thank you, Astrid. Carolyn, one thing.
I Oh, I think I'm trying to write a new script for myself. One that I think is very exciting and one that I think is achievable. I'm trying to define new realistic expectations for myself. That keeps me focused on the future. I try to anticipate some obstacles that are going to interfere with the goals. I try to activate a game plan to get through the obstacles. But I'm all about right now, even in the midst of this COVID pandemic, I'm all about entertaining the art of the possible.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. Ruby?
I'm a country girl at heart. And so I go out for Sunday strolls. And so I'll get in my car on a Sunday morning, sometimes a Saturday morning, and just take an hour drive and just see what's new in places that I haven't been before.
Beautiful. And Ursa, bring it home.
For me, it's really about mindfulness. Definitely kind of keeping in touch with my five senses, see, hear, smell, touch, taste. I think that was 5. I may have left something out. And for me, it's really about smell and touch. I am a big candle fanatic. I have a diffuser, and so I experiment with different kinds of oils. I call Astrid, I tell her about them. I find a new candle, I text it to her. So that's what I do to really ground me.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Ursula. And all our listeners, as you saw, we pretty much talked about body, mind, and spirit. So you have to take care of your body, mind, and spirit. Take care of what you eat, take care of your spirituality, and take care of your physical health. This has been such a great conversation. Thank you so much to our amazing panel. A round of applause to everyone. I really, really have enjoyed having this conversation with you. The comment section is open for you to ask questions, and we'll come back to you guys in a little while. Before we share a special conversation on seniors and COVID-19, let's do a quick check-in with Jai Farrell from the world's busiest airport, Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport.
Hello from ATL. I am Jai Farrell, the Assistant General Manager of Commercial Development at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, and I bring you greetings on behalf of Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms and our General Manager, John Selden. We are delighted that you've invited us here to speak on the efforts we've activated at ATL to keep us ATL strong during this time of resumption and recovery.
Hartsfield-Jackson Airport is safe, clean, and ready for you to enjoy your travel. It's mandatory to wear a face mask at all times while at the airport. Look for decals on the floor to help you keep a safe distance of 6 feet or more. We've also placed 300 new touchless hand sanitizers throughout the airport. For more details about the new policies to make sure the airport is safe, clean, and ready when you are, go to atl.com/ATL Strong.
At the world's busiest and most efficient airport, Hartsfield-Jackson, we are ATL Strong. We are safe, clean, and ready to welcome your return when you are. Safety is ATL's top priority, and everyone has a role. Besides our culture of see something, say something, we ask that you abide by the mandatory face covering options that we have in the airport. If you don't have a face mask or a face covering, one will be provided to you at no charge. Additionally, we've installed floor markers as a friendly reminder to keep your distance as you navigate through the airport. Each airline partner has various restrictions and requirements when you're traveling domestically or abroad. We highly recommend and encourage that you touch base with your airline partner to understand what those acknowledgments, restrictions, or medical assessments are that are required prior to you taking flight. Personally, I've traveled to the Caribbean, Jamaica specifically, because I love Jamaica, during this period of time, and I had a COVID test within 10 days of me taking travel, temperature checked upon arrival, temperature checks when I got back to the airport, and I did my family and my friends and coworkers a favor and got a COVID-19 test prior to going back to the office when I returned. We are clean and exercising additional sanitization efforts in ATL to make sure that our facilities are welcoming when you return. Aside from our frequent cleaning of the checkpoint areas, the common areas like restrooms and hold rooms, we've installed over 300 touchless hand sanitizing stations to make sure that you, the passenger, can be safe along your journey. We've collapsed our parking lot shuttle operations, and we've really encouraged individuals to come in contactless for entry and exit on our on-airport parking facilities. Additionally, we've reduced the rates on the adjacent parking structures that are near the domestic and international terminal to encourage you to socially distance and walk to your terminal before taking flight. ATL has two transit systems, one, the SkyRail, which is above ground, and it connects you from the airport to off-airport parking areas and convention centers and other off-airport facilities. We also have the plane train, which is underground, that connects you to concourse along with terminal to terminal. Each transit system has increased its frequency of trains just to make sure that you can socially distance and not pack on. In addition to that, we have very deep cleaning sanitization methods that we're taking in the evenings to make sure that you're safe when they're taking out of service. ATL is ready to return to flight for you. We've integrated several technology options to keep you socially distanced when you're traveling through the airport, specifically when you're ordering food, beverage, or you have any retail services. They have touchless and mobile ordering kiosks at the various ATL SkyPoint, the mall within the mall, food and beverage locations at the airport. Additionally, in ATL SkyPoint locations, we've installed plexiglass barriers to keep both you and our beloved employees safe as you get your needs prior to you taking flight. As we recover and we resume operations, please visit atl.com/SkyPoint to learn about options available to you on your concourse or in adjacent concourses near you. As there have been obvious pivots in the airline experience, we ask that you get to the airport no later than 2 hours prior to you taking flight so you know what to expect in our new normal. If you want to know what's happening with the wait times and the lines for the security checkpoint, please visit atl.com/times so you can get real-time tracking of what's available and the times. It is critical to the aviation community, all of us, airports, airlines, and stakeholders give confidence to the air travel experience. And at ATL, we are dedicated to regaining that confidence and trust in the 100 million passengers that come to us annually. ATL Strong resonates with our employees, our stakeholders, and our passengers as we recover together. You are always welcome in ATL. We are safe, we're clean, and we're ready to welcome you back to take flight when you are. To learn more about the additional resumption efforts and the cleaning options in ATL, please visit atl.com/ATL Strong. I am Jai like sky like fly, and fly like airport. And I, along with the 63,000 employees at ATL, are ready for you to return. You are always welcome in ATL.
Ms. McCoy, I am Chris Scott. I'm a master life coach and a Christian counselor. And I am so excited to be here with you today. We are excited.
Yes, we are truly excited. I am Samantha Samuels. I'm also a life coach and a biblical counselor. But we're truly excited. You are it today. We just want to honor you.
And look at you, Miss Queen. We have the honor and the privilege to be sitting next to a Queen mother. And I love the beautiful hair. You know, you got to let me know one day how I can embrace it and be okay with it, you know? So, you know, we're in the middle of some tough times in our, not just our country, but in our world right now. And we just kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about this whole COVID-19, this pandemic, and how has it affected you, Miss McCoy?
It have not, because I always put God first in my life. And I attend church often. When I get up in the morning, I read the Bible. And then through the day, I listen to gospel program of teaching. And I just enjoy movies at night, old movies, and taking friend and neighbor places and helping them out and doing whatever I can to help people in my neighborhood that need the help.
That's awesome. How have you said that which it's amazing that you know that it hasn't affected you because you trust God. How have you assisted your friends and given them the support during this time?
Assist them by, if anyone get in my car, I tell them they have to have their masks on. And then stay 7 feet from me.
Not six, but seven.
Seven.
7 of perfection.
7 feet away from me. In the stores, I be telling people I don't even know. 7 feet away from me. With your mask, I always have to tell my son to keep his on when he's talking to his friends. And they like to sit on the back porch. I say, you still have to have your mask on. So and then most of the time, my gloves on. And then at church, our church has opened back up for quite a while. So there, they take our temp and we sit. If someone on the front row, we skip a row, and and then the next person sit on that row. So you skip a row, first row, second row, no one sit there, and then the third row you can sit. We keep our distance. We practice safe rules there also.
That's awesome. Do you know anyone that's been affected by COVID-19?
I heard of a person that was affected by it. I know her. She's a very close friend of mine.
How's she doing now?
She's well, because I had spoken to her and I told her, always see you as you was before you got sick. And she back up and doing good.
That's amazing.
Good.
Okay. So it's Thanksgiving season is coming up. Well, Thanksgiving. And do you normally cook and have your family over? And if you do, are you doing that this year?
No, for the past 2 years, I've been at my son's house. He cook a big dinner for the family, and we all go. His wife family come from Louisiana and have dinner. But this time, only a few will be over there.
Okay.
And we will play safe rules by glove, sanitizing your hand, and staying 7 feet apart. I don't know whether we can have it outside. They said it's best to have it outside.
Yeah.
But we will be having ours in the house, I guess, unless they get some table. There's not many people, like I said, like it was last year, going to be like it was last year, because I don't think her family coming from out of town this time.
So, Miss McCoy, there are some seniors. Are you a senior?
Yes, can't you tell?
I don't know. You look. I don't think so. Looking all young. How young are you?
I'm 74, knocking on 75 door.
You know, when a woman can say her age without a problem, you know that she is confident. And we love that. But with all the seniors out there, some are lonely because they have been quarantining, and this while this COVID has not affected you, you're standing on the solid rock of Jesus. That is amazing. But what about those people that can't handle this? What advice would you give to the elderly that's just having a really difficult time? Some have not seen their grandchildren or their children since March.
Right. I have brother-in-law that's in the nursing home, and it affected my sister a lot by not being able to go visit her husband. And the only thing, now they just pull them up and they can see them through the window, but that affected them a lot. Most time I am talking to people about their problem and so forth and so on. I talk to my sister, try to help encourage people. And then I take my neighbor, if they need to go to the store somewhere, I take them to the store. Longer they wear their masks.
That's it. And stay 7 feet.
7 feet. Don't forget that. I can't forget that. Stay 7 feet apart. So I'm just encouraging people to look up to God, who is the head of our life.
Amen. So, Samantha, do you have last words for Miss McCoy? Anything you want to share with her, leave her with? She's given us a bunch of wisdom.
I think she has all the wisdom.
Oh my.
She's given it to us, and we're just grateful that you are giving us those wisdom. And we're grateful that you're even passing that on to others around you and supporting. So you must be a great motivator in your community.
Yes.
And your surrounding, and that's absolutely amazing. So what are some advice that you give to your sister that's, where her husband, is it your sister? Because you said your brother-in-law.
She's my sister.
Yeah. What are some advice that you give her to cope with this situation now with the COVID?
She already know that to wear her mask. She hardly ever goes anywhere, to the grocery store maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a stay-at-home person. She used to attend church, but she doesn't anymore.
Okay.
Because the church has been closed. Some churches are closed.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just been talking to her every week at least. If she don't talk to me every week, she'll call me and ask me, why you haven't called?
Wow.
That's I be busy. And so we do talk once a week, twice a week, something like that. We talk to each other. Because she the only sister I have left. I had a brother, he passed, so that's my only sister I have. And it was 3 of us.
That's accept our condolences, but your hope in God and Jesus Christ knows that you'll see them one day.
Hallelujah.
This was a pleasure.
Thank God. Thank you all. It's my pleasure for meeting you all, and thank you all, and y'all be safe.
Thank you for joining the Solace virtual series.
Thank you so much I enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed me as much as I enjoyed being
We
here.
certainly did. Yes, yes.
Hi, can you hold one moment, please? Thank you. Hey, I'm Master Life Coach Chris Scott. I stopped by to say to you that we are facing a tough time in our world, in our country. You see, you may need someone to talk with if you're experiencing the following symptoms. You may be feeling very down or sad and feeling worried and empty, or even you're feeling a sense of anxiety. Maybe you're sleeping too much or sleeping too little, feeling tired or slowed down. Changes in appetite or your weight. Maybe you're gaining weight or maybe you're losing weight. You're having little or no interest in those things that you normally take pleasure in, like your hobbies. Maybe experiencing the loss of a loved one. Quarantine may sometimes make you feel isolated. I understand. Listen, don't suffer in silence. Call the Coaching Forward International Support Helpline today and talk with a coach for free. You see, we'll listen, we'll encourage, and we will refer you out for further assistance if needed. This is a free service to help you get through this difficult time. You see, a group of coaches have teamed up together to listen to you and help you get through this. Call 1-888-61-COACH. That's 1-888-61-COACH. Or you can visit us on the web at coachingforwardinternational.org. That's coachingforwardinternational.org. And we'll talk to you. We will listen. And if you can't use this information, definitely share it with someone else. Someone needs help today. Don't suffer in silence. Oh, I gotta get back on my call. Bless you.
Yes, thank you for calling Coaching Forward International. This is Chris. How may I serve you?
Call Coaching Forward International at 1-888-61-COACH and speak with a coach today, or visit www.coachingforwardinternational.org.
Thank you very much. The Caribbean American Cultural Arts Foundation is focused on multi-generational, multi-layered outreach during this series on mental health. Our very own Melissa Knoll sat down to speak to Loretta Green, advocate and activist in New York City, who has her eye on COVID's impact to seniors.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mancini. Now we will continue our conversation on mental health and well-being with Loretta Green Williams, co-founder, senior editor, and senior vice president for global brand awareness for Caribe Me magazine. Loretta is on the ground in New York City and has more on the impact of COVID-19 on our seniors there. Hi, Loretta. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, Melissa, and thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
So I want to start off by asking about how you're doing and just check in on where things are with you and your family during this, the year that no one expected.
Absolutely. I'm doing well. I have been tested on several occasions. I'm still negative, and so we thank God for that.
Yeah.
My family has been well. My church family, we've been feeling the blows. As a matter of fact, we just had a virtual homegoing for 2 of our members just this week.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're definitely feeling, as you said, feeling those effects, and church family is really important, something that has kept people so grounded on a regular basis. So definitely for a time like this. So my thoughts and prayers are with you and your church family.
Thank you very much.
So now getting into, let's talk about our seniors in New York and the impact that COVID is having on their mental health, especially because New York City is that kind of place where you're out and about. It's the hustle and bustle, especially during this time.
It is difficult. I'm one of those seniors that get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm generally at the gym at 6 a.m. That's all behind me now. So what I did is I've created a gym inside my home, a little mini gym, and I do my rubber bands and my 3-pound weights and try to stay as active as possible. Yeah.
And that's definitely really important because, not being able to get out and do those things that you're used to, so many of us have had to adapt. You just shared with us some of the ways that you have. What are some of the things you've seen other seniors doing in order to adopt to this experience of social distancing and handling things a little differently, our new normal?
Absolutely. One of the wonderful things that New York has done is we have senior hour, and that's generally between 7 and 9 o'clock a.m. That gives us opportunity to go shopping. I see more seniors in the morning time walking, which is very critical to help us maintain and sustain not only the health, but the emotional and psychological trauma. Those traumas, again, being loss of people that we know have known for years. And because we're the vulnerable population, it does affect you emotionally and psychologically, knowing that you could be hit with COVID at any time.
And I know that is that kind of fear that people are living with day in, day out, especially in the city with so many people like New York, where being in close proximity with people is typically the norm, as is with so many of our other cities. But New York, especially the subway, going into maybe your favorite restaurant or something like that. So all of those things have changed.
Yes.
And we know that the New York City Health Commissioner, you talked about, senior hour, but one of the things the Health Commissioner has advised is asking seniors to, to limit or to avoid outdoor activities as much as possible, just due to the pandemic. How has this impacted people's mental health, in your opinion?
Well, it's really interesting because myself and the marketing director for the New York State Park and Recreations, we're in communication and how we're going to address those concerns of seniors. Because it is an issue, it is a crisis. So the Parks and Recs, they've put exercises online to help us to refrain from being outside because people aren't respecting the mask and the social distancing. And it is difficult, like you said, in New York to even have that level of social distancing. Myself, what I've done is I actually created a website for seniors. It's called the Silver Seniors Fitness COVID-19. And I have exercises for seniors that might be bedridden, those that are a little more physically fit where they can stand up and do exercise, free weights. And then what I've done is I've actually walked throughout New York when I can, and I filmed it. So you can actually go on and you can do a power walk indoors with me, a virtual power walk.
I love
So
that.
yeah, so these are some of the things that the creativity is coming up with. We have personal trainers that are in the parks and they're taping themselves and posting it to help seniors move forward. So we're trying to do everything we possibly can to keep us physically active.
Yeah, and as you said, so Silver Senior Fitness. I think this year has really shown us the power of community, whether you're there in person or you're thousands of miles apart.
Absolutely.
And we definitely appreciate that. So our last question is, what are some of the ways that or advice you have for seniors to keep them encouraged during, as we continue to fight through this pandemic, especially in the holiday season, which is for a lot of people, especially seniors, can be a really lonely time of year.
Yeah. One of the things I share with my colleagues often is don't feel discouraged because you feel like you're disempowered. We are the most powerful population, us boomers. We've seen and we've gone through a lot, and we've been able to sustain that, and we will overcome this. Empower yourself because you do have the wisdom, you do have the knowledge, you do have the experience, and share it with others. So what I generally do is I'll take a day and just call people I haven't heard from in a while, just to let them know I'm thinking of them. Pick up the phone and call someone and just chop it up. I use Facebook a lot to do FaceTime with people I haven't heard from. And I'll just put in the name of someone I haven't heard from in a while. They'll pop up and I'll just tag them real quick and just chat with them. The key is stay talking, stay active.
I think on that note, we want to thank you so much for sharing your insights and your time with us. So we want to stay in contact. It's like stay active, stay in contact, let people know that you're thinking of them. And we value our seniors so much, and we want them to know how important they are to us, and definitely an important part of our Solace community. So thank you, Loretta, and thank you to all of our seniors.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was such a wonderful interview. There is one question that came in. So panelists, thank you so much for hanging in there. I really appreciate it while this video is played. And I wanted just to have this last question before we end today. And any one of you can answer. So much talk right now is focused on the multiple vaccines that are showing 90, 95% accuracy, and they are being billed as the magic bullet that's going to take care of things going back to some type of new normalcy. But many people are dissenting against it. And I've witnessed this even within families. Within the same family, you have individuals that are for and against. And that whole debate trigger mental health challenges. What do you say when people show up and they're sharing this type of concern? Any one of you?
I'll take a shot at it initially. I think, I think we all have valid concerns, particularly in the Black community, right, as it relates to new medications and vaccines. And so, one of the things that I've had conversations in my own home with friends about is look at the science. Have a conversation with your healthcare professional about the science that backs this. We know that it's not an end all be all, but it's a start to help reduce the deaths that are happening in our communities, and just make an educated decision based upon the science, the data that you learn through talking with your healthcare professional.
Thank you, Ruby. Excellent, excellent. Someone else?
I would definitely echo Ruby's sentiments in terms of, like anything else, gather as much information as possible, ask questions, and then make the best decision for you.
Excellent. Seems to be the theme. So, you know,
I'll add some humor.
Yes, please.
I'll just throw in one other thing. Be educated, yes. Be informed. And watch out for conspiracy theories.
No, it's one of those that it doesn't matter, right? Which side
Right.
end up being mudding the conversation because of a group of people that do end up bringing up all of these other factors. So, you know, this has been a great conversation. I really appreciate all of you guys sharing. You know, we must take care of our mental health. I hope our listeners were able to get as much out of this as I did. I know that during the chat, there were links and other resources that were placed, including how to reach some of our panelists through their websites. And, you know, I really want to thank the Caribbean American Cultural Arts Foundation for having me here today and for having me be your host. And I want to thank all of you for joining our conversation. Before we go, I do want to invite you to visit www.solaceseries.com to download our workbook and learn more about the resources that can help you and your family. Remember, you deserve the same grace that you give to others. Once again, gracias. Thank you very much. I am Dr. Pierluigi Mancini. Back to you, Melissa.
Dr. Mancini, thanks so much for such a great and insightful conversation. You know, the Solace series is known for our phenomenal entertainment. And this week we have two powerhouse performances. We have a moving presentation from pop sensation and the first winner of X Factor USA, Melanie Amaro. That's going to be followed by the electric violin dynamo known as Wadadli Strings, who will bring us an exciting performance. So make sure you stick around because the Solace series is now kicking into high gear.
I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. Everybody's searching for a hero. People need someone to look up to. I never found anyone who fulfilled my needs. A lonely place to be. And so I learned to depend on me. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadows. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my love of all, it's happening to me. I found the greatest love of all inside of me. The greatest love of all. It's easy to achieve. Learning to love yourself, it is the greatest love of all. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadows. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity. Because the greatest love of all, it's happening to me.
Melissa Noel. Thank you so much for joining us again. Now, don't forget to visit www.solaceseries.com. And please be sure to download our interactive mental health workbook and resources for families who can use some help during this time. We'll see you next week, and we hope that you continue to seek and find your solace. Take care.
Thank you for joining us for this special episode of Solace Virtual Series. On behalf of the Caribbean American Cultural Arts Foundation, we say stay safe, stay home, and enjoy your solace.
When I look at where I'm coming from, I know I'm blessed, and I close my eyes and smile. Sometimes I feel like the richest man in Babylon, and I've done my best, so everything's alright inside. Oh, every morning, I rise, I stare at the sun. I know it is a blessing. So when the evening comes, I lift up my eyes to this, I'm blessed, oh man.